Welcome to The Good Life. Thank you for stopping by. I'm Patrick Harney. And as always, thank you to all of you who watch, listen, subscribe, comment, like, everything. If you don't know already, you can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHEART Radio. You can watch this on YouTube as well. And today I have a friend who I've known for years now, and he's one of the most gifted, hardworking, just insane athletes I've ever met in my life. And he is currently with the New Orleans Saints in the NFL. His name's Jake Lampman, and I'm interested to hear what he has to say. So let's get into it. Now, we've known each other. I've known you for years now. You were a senior when I was a freshman in high school. And not only are you a crazy athlete, but many people might not know that this man's got some pipes. This man's got some golden pipes.
I feel like too many people know that.
Oh, man.
I feel like I've had some nights where a lot of people have found out.
Yeah. Multi-dimensional, multi-talented. But yeah, man, it's funny because, I will say you were one of the examples that I had that showed that you could do both sports and get into some music. So for that, I thank you. Because that really showed me like, oh yeah, I could do both then. And I won't, I don't have to feel bad about it, or I don't have to choose. And that's big.
Yeah. And I mean, well, let's not get it twisted though. I mean, like you have some freaking pipes, my guy. Like, so like, but I'll tell you one thing. The one thing that did it for me, like I tell people all the time, no matter what level, in college, I talked about it. In the NFL, I talked about it to teammates. The best recruiter I've ever seen in the history of any recruiting was Eric Wangerman. I mean,
yes,
the man had something, dude, he could recruit. And like, I didn't think about it until like, I don't know, a couple of years ago, I was just kind of talking. I was like, man, like he would send the studs on any team, basketball, football, baseball. He would send the seniors and the juniors that were killing it on the field. And he'd send them to, the 7th, 8th grade choir hours. He'd get them out of school, a little incentive. Mm-hmm. I mean, the guy was genius. He's the most calculated individual I've ever met. He'd send them and they'd come talk to us. And I mean, we're talking, Luke Magnuson was one of those guys for me. He was just a stud, and they came in and they were like, you can do both. Like, there's, and like talk about a culture that he created. Like, I mean, like people are like, so you were in like some High School Musical type stuff. I was like, no. It wasn't like we were like breaking out in song and dance at lunch, but like had like 8 choirs. I mean, it was absurd. And so people don't understand like this man. I mean, Miss Bella, she did a heck of a job too.
Yeah, she did.
But as far as reaching, the kids that were athletes, I think Eric did an unbelievable job. I can't even I still can't understand it. Like, dude, he had everybody in choir.
Yes, he did. And what was crazy was I remember too, because I remember that by the time I was a senior, the freshman basketball team, 8 out of the 13 guys that were on the team were in choir.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Whereas for me in my grade, it was just like me and Foxy and
man.
Like that's pretty much it. And so it was because of you guys that it slowly started to turn into I can do both. And yeah, man, that was you're right. He is one of the best recruiters. Yeah, I think I've ever met.
It's insane. I mean, I never get over it. I mean, like, and I wanted to be there too. Like, I really enjoyed music. I really did. If I didn't love football so much, I really thought about like the music route as far as going and studying music. Would I ever do that now? I think I'm too far gone. I mean, I dabble a little bit here and there, but like, I could never read music. I was just one of those guys. I could hear a pitch, I could hear a sound, and I could replicate it just naturally. But like when it came to reading music, man, I was not the guy. That's just what I wasn't a student of the game there.
Well, hey man, there's many people that have made it that can't read music. So so don't feel bad about that. But yeah, man, it was cool to be able to see somebody as, being a freshman, knowing that I wanted to do sports and knowing I wanted to do music and knowing that I was pretty good at both, and to see somebody else who was also doing it and killing it like that gave me a lot of confidence moving forward. So yeah, I don't think the impact that you guys had, but you did.
Well,
so
appreciate
but yeah, so you went from Hazlitt and then you went to Ferris State University and played football there. Or should I say you basically owned football there? like you wrecked it. I'm not just trying to gas you up for the show. Like I mean it. Like you guys were sick.
we built quite a bit of a culture there. It was actually really fun. Some of the best years of my entire life. And what was really another great recruiter. So we like to joke with the now head coach, Tony Anise, but we actually didn't get recruited by Tony. We got recruited by Jeff Pierce. My class did. We were the last class of his career, his stint at Ferris. And we always joke that he recruited the best class in the history of Ferris State. And just to get under get under TA's skin a little bit, because the guys in my class, no one really knows or talks about it or thinks about it, but there's 4 guys from my freshman class that are in the NFL or have been in the NFL. And it's just unbelievable the kind of work ethic. Like we all saw the where the program was, and there was some really talented players, but the culture wasn't there. And just coming from Hazlitt, where when I was there, it was kind of similar. I just didn't think the culture of winning was there. And I didn't want to go through that at Ferris. It was just one of those things that I just didn't want to be a part of losing anymore. And I couldn't stand it. And I've been that way my whole life. You and Dave K, I listened to that podcast, man. And we were some of the most competitive humans on the face of the earth. I'll take the kids we grew up with over a lot of people when it comes to competing. It didn't matter. Like even I was in on some of those poker games and some of those Madden tournaments that Dave would put on. But like when I got to Ferris, I had some guys around me that were absolute studs, but they were all kind of in the same boat. We went 6-5, and that was like kind of like a celebratory season for Ferris, because they just came off like a 0-10 or a 1-10 season, and we were like, this is not okay. And then when Tony Anise came in, he kind of we knew his resume. He dominated in the Muskegon area. He dominated at Grand Rapids Community College and just built powerhouses. And so we're like, we bought in right away. And he kind of gave us as sophomores and juniors the reins. And luckily we didn't have a lot of older upperclassmen left to kind of continue that old tradition. And the guys that were there were even more sick of the culture because they'd been there for so long. And so we kind of got the best of both worlds. And those guys were like, all right, we're ready to actually win some games. And we went on quite a bit of a streak, man. And it was really enjoyable. And the one thing that I took away from it was, I said it the last season I was at Ferris, I just knew that if I wanted to progress my career, because I had the goal, I had the dream there. It's been there forever since I can remember. My team, we needed to win in order for me to get any kind of exposure. I talked with my coaches about it. I said, I want to play in the NFL. I think I'm gifted enough. I think I'm good enough. And they were just, they were very supportive. They knew what I wanted to do. But like, I also made it clear, like, I know how hard that is for a Division II player. Now it's a little bit different because I think that Ferris State is one of those Division II schools now that NFL teams, there's scouts at their practices now. We kind of created that, hey, we got a pipeline here. Let's keep keep people coming through it. So that's been really exciting to see some of the guys that came after me getting their opportunities too. It's pretty sweet.
Well, that's awesome, man. And that's got to be a good feeling to know that that you guys kind of paved that way for, because then it doesn't just stop at you guys. Then recruiters might go, okay, well, what other schools have we been missing out on? You know what I mean? And so that opens the door for a lot of players. Mm-hmm. And correct me if I'm wrong here, but you guys won a championship in 2014, GLIAC championship. Yeah.
So yeah, we went back to back. In 2014, I had a season-ending injury, and so I only played the first 3 games. And the guys that that was supposed to be my year to, I was really excited about it. I had a lot of momentum. My quarterback and I are best friends. And we had a lot, we built up a great start to the season there, and they ended up going undefeated, and I made sure that I was present. I didn't miss any meetings or anything like that. Like, I wanted to be there. Some guys you'll see just kind of disappear for a year and come back. And that's just not my style. I just love to be around the guys. I'm all for them, so. And then when I came back my senior year, we put in the work, and we were even better than the team in 14. We won another GLIAC championship, and that was my senior year. We should have won a national championship, and I'll just, I'll leave it at that. We should have been national champions, and that was a tough season ender, but we put something together there. It was great.
But still, you guys were able to garner the attention of the scouts. And so let's get into your NFL career a little bit. So you started with the Saints, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you went to the Buccaneers, and then the XFL came around and went to the Vipers, but then COVID hit, right?
Yeah.
That kind of shut everything down.
Yep.
And now you're with the Saints again, round 2, New Orleans.
Yep.
So what has that journey been like going through the league, in terms of going from a D2 school, being able to get all the way to the NFL, and being able to play with these teams that you normally watch every Sunday? Like, what is that feeling like?
At first, it's really surreal. And, the number one thing that I always try to tell myself, and I had a great receivers coach who spent time professionally coaching, and it's Sparky McEwen, the head coach at Davenport now. But he would tell me, you have the ability, but you also have the personality that, you belong, kind of thing. And so I really took it as, it was, at first it's kind of mind blowing. The first day you get around all the guys, you get around the team, and you have your first team meeting, and you're looking, and man, Drew Brees walks in, and you're just like, this is pretty dope. You know what I mean? And everyone's always asking the question, like, how's Drew Brees? It's one of those things. But then when you understand that everyone in the NFL, anyone at any professional level, anyone at any high collegiate level has come from nowhere, right? Yeah. They were nobodies, and then they created their brand. They worked, and they became somebody that everyone knows, right? Mm-hmm. So for me, I learned really quick, and I was prepared by my coaches at Ferris that, you belong in that locker room. You're there for a reason. A scout found you and brought you in, and you made the roster, you made the team, you belong there. Don't question it. Like, you wouldn't be there if you didn't belong. So for me, I learned quick, and I established, I don't really care who's who, where they came from. And so when I flipped that switch, and I did it in the first 2 weeks of being there, I was just like, I'm just going to try to outwork every single person. And that's just kind of going to be what I do. It's been a bumpy NFL career. It has not been a picture perfect, what everyone thinks an NFL career is comprised of. But it's been it's been a road that I wouldn't trade for another one. In 16, I was with the Saints, had a great showing my rookie year. I played really well when I was able to get in the game. And then I had some lingering injuries from the previous season in 17, and then I got let go. And that's what a lot of people don't understand is, it's a, what can you do for me now kind of business. Yeah. So if you can't perform, you're most likely gone unless you have some guarantee tying you in. And for most players from years 1 to 3, there's no guaranteed money. A team doesn't really have a tie to you, unless they draft you or something happens like that. So Tampa picks me up at the end of 2017, and I make it through there, and I go through training camp with them and got injured again in training camp. And it's kind of one of those, okay, this is his third year now in the NFL, and he's got these injuries. And so after I was let go by the Bucs, after my injury, I went from September of 2018 till December of 2020 without any roster, without any NFL interest. So, I mean, some would say that your career is definitely over if you don't hear anything for a year. But if you don't hear anything after 2 years, your career is like, I don't know what you're doing kind of thing. So luckily the XFL came around and I was able to hop on with the Vipers. I was there for about 3 days, and then COVID happened. So I was like, all right, this is my ticket back in. And then, the doors shut there, and I'm kind of like, all right. So I definitely had a lot of, I knew that I was close. I'm the healthiest I've ever been. So I knew that I had some things left in the tank there. And so I just kept working, kept my head down. A big thing is social media in the NFL. There's a lot of people that post a lot of videos of what they're doing in the offseason. If you get caught up into that and what other people are doing, you don't focus on what you're doing. You just think you're not doing as much. So I got rid of the Instagram. And I was just like, all right, let's hone in 6 months, give it everything you have for 6 months, and we'll go from there. And so thankfully, I'm back home in New Orleans. I'm really excited about it. I've got a really good relationship with Jameis from Tampa. We know each other. I throw with him every once in a while down in Tampa. I'll go down there and throw. But I'm really excited to be back in New Orleans. I feel at home there. I know the playbook, and so it's going to be a really exciting year, I think. Yeah, man.
Now, for one, how does it feel knowing that Drew Brees retired? That's got to be strange.
Right? It's interesting. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of one of those deals that I'm sure, like, it's kind of like when Calvin Johnson retired, you're kind of just like, football's not the same. You know what I mean? As a fan, football's not going to be the same when Drew retired. And then whenever Tom Brady or then Aaron Rodgers, for us, I imagine when Barry Sanders retired, I imagine our parents were like, it's too soon. Football's not ever going to be the same. Yeah. So juggling that from a fan perspective, just watching him work every day, like the dude is untouchable when it comes to work ethic and preparation. And I'm just grateful I got to learn from him, and kind of just not necessarily having, I had a few conversations with him where I just picked his brain, but you got to just step back and say, all right, I'm just going to enjoy him while he's here. Yeah. Kind of one of those things. I have the opportunity to see this. Like, I'm just going to enjoy him here right now. And then I'll reminisce when later. Yeah. And, as a football player, you hate to see people with career-ending injuries or retiring or something like that had such a great impact on the game. You grow up watching them, you have the opportunity to maybe play with them. And then when they decide they're done, it's kind of like, it's like the first kid to leave at in backyard football. He's got to go home and get dinner. And everyone's like, you just ruined the rest of the game. You know what I mean? So kind of balancing that it's been interesting. But, I'm just excited for, what we have going on in New Orleans, the culture there. Again, another place where the culture of football, it's winning. Yeah. It's win or go home. And that's one of those things that I really thrive in situations like that. When the expectation is high, that's when I perform my best. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited about a new opportunity. But yeah, man, I mean, hats off to Drew with his career is unbelievable, untouchable. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. It's just one of those, it's like almost numbing, you like, you don't really know if it doesn't feel real, but then you're also like, okay, well, we still got to go out and win, because we would do him a disservice if we just kind of let the Saints die when he leaves. That's not what he would want anyway. So.
Exactly. Now, knowing you, because I mean, I've always known that you've had a really strong work ethic. That was always, to me, that was always one thing that stood out amongst everybody else that we grew up with, and and that was playing sports. It was always obvious that you worked a lot harder than most, or really anybody. And I remember one day you came back from college. It was like winter break or something. I was in the weight room, and you walked in and you were so freaking yoked. I was like, what the hell is he on? Like, what? This is insane, dude. And I watched you work out, and I was like, yep, that makes sense then, because those workouts, was like, I didn't even know that existed. like I don't know what that workout is. But then I've seen some of the videos that you put up, and I see some of the training that you do, and it's just a whole nother level. You know what I mean? And so when I see that, it makes me want to get to the gym and start working harder. Right. So when you're putting that stuff out there, what's the mindset of, putting that training, like putting those training videos out there and everything? I mean, do you know that has an impact on people, or is it just like, yeah, I'm working hard today, this is what, because there has to be some of both, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, I think I actually just had a conversation about this with my trainer before I got on here with you today. And at first, I discovered that it was very like ego driven. It was more of like, look what I'm doing. And the more I started to kind of take a step back, and the more I started to look at it, I had a whole social media following that only knew me by my tag, right?
Mm-hmm.
My username. And it became like what people would call me. And I took a step back, when I went that long stint where I didn't have a call or a workout, I was like, all those videos that I used to post to show how hard I work,
Mm-hmm.
obviously it doesn't matter. And now, you start to lose the followers, and you stop caring, right? Yeah. You're like, people stop caring, man, this sucks. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's not why you started doing this. It's not what got you here. Yeah. So I can't necessarily say that I'll be I just actually just got back on social media, and like, I don't know that that's the route I'm necessarily going to take. But I do know that there's a lot of people out there that post them for the right reasons, and I think that's great. But at a certain point, I know for a fact that everyone that's posting them because they want other people to improve their own lives and follow your story and give them motivation.
Yeah.
There's always a me at the inception of it. You know what I mean? And so like, or the conception of it. And like, so for me now, it's more, I have it just because I want to get back on there and maybe just post some things that maybe some people want to keep up with me, Yeah. But it's funny you say that, because at first the intention was, I'm working hard. Now it's like you said, it's like, if I can give someone a little bit of inspiration here, yeah, okay, that makes sense. But I know where I used to be with it, and I absolutely hate that. I mean, I wasn't like flagrant with it. I wasn't, but even the little amount that I dabbled there, I was just like, that's just not a space I want to be in anymore. And I think the whole pandemic kind of cleared the air for me. I was able to be at my parents'. I put together a nice little weight room in there. Blake came home from Oakland, and he has that hunger, that fire that I had when I was in college. He wants to be a professional athlete too, right? And so his mindset's, I haven't gotten there yet. I haven't been there yet. I need to get there now. And so like, he kind of got me going a little bit. You know, we're competing, like the Lampmans, we compete in everything. It doesn't matter. I mean, even our sisters, you know, Lauren and Madeline, they get into it too. And like, the funny thing is, like, my parents aren't like overly competitive like that. Like, they get there and like, it's more of just something that, you know, my dad's family, we all compete together when we go on vacation. So that's kind of where it stemmed from, you know? And it's just funny because, like, I look at my dad, he's very reserved. My mom, very similar, you know, she's one of the loud moms at the games, which I love. Like,
yeah, she's great.
Think, like, people are like, man, I wonder how, like, you feel, like, I wonder how people feel like when their parents, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, if my mom wasn't at my games, I would not play as hard as I play. You know what I mean? Like, my dad had a signature whistle. It'd be 3 whistles. If you heard the 3 whistles, if you go back and watch any film of me or my siblings in track or anything, my dad had 3 whistles. That means, like, hey, flip the switch. Something needs to happen here. And so, like, being able to go home and kind of like get back into my zone a little bit, it kind of made me think, you know, I need to get off social media. I need to just focus on me. I don't need to make a sweet video for clicks. You know what I mean? And so I think there's a lot of people out there that do it for the right reasons. But me personally, I maybe started out selfishly, like, I just want to post it, to, if I do it now, it's going to be, here's what I do. If you want to be, you know, in this ballpark of fitness, but I just can't see myself going into that kind of space ever again. You know, I just kind of.
There was a part of me that wondered, because I know your brother is on there. There was a part of me that wondered if older brother wasn't trying to post a little something to say, hey, you're not at this level.
Yeah, you know.
You know what I mean?
That's
because
funny.
I know you guys are competitive. I do know
we're
that.
Competitive, man. And like, I remember you and Dave were talking about how, like, you guys were like brothers growing up. I remember you guys were always with each other. You know, I honestly think I was at the one time I came and played baseball with you guys was the day that you went man down. I literally, like, when you guys were talking about that, I was like, I'm pretty sure I was there. Like, I remember, like, the park, everything. Like,
that's funny.
But like, yeah, dude, I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things where you guys were talking about it. I was like, man, like, the last time I played Blake in a one-on-one basketball game, he beat me, and it's the last time I've played him since.
Oh, no.
It's one of those deals where it's like, if I'm not going to be able to beat you, because it has nothing to, it used to be I could just out-muscle you, right?
Yeah.
And I could out-muscle him. He's 8 years younger than me. So, like, when I don't know if anyone's seen him or
he's tall.
Like that. The man he's a big boy. Yeah. Now I can still out-muscle him, and that will forever be the case, right? So I hope he watches. Yes. I hope he hears it. Like, he knows it in the back of his head. Like you guys were talking about. Like,
yeah, it's that complex, man.
He was always better than me at basketball. Mm-hmm. That is a fact. Any one of our friends will tell you that I didn't really try that hard when it came to the skill work of basketball. I was just out there flying around, just trying to be an athlete, and that paid off in high school, right? So Blake, however, is a very technically sound basketball player. He's one of the best I've ever seen. And like, so it got to that point. It was last summer. We're out there and we're just playing, and it got pretty competitive. It got heated, you know, and he's up on me 16-3. I'm not even like, I couldn't even exaggerate it. And I just got mad. So I started to muscle him down in the paint. So I muscle him, I get him down there. I throw up what I thought was going to be a typical, I'm just going to do this the rest of the game, take him to the paint. He can't stop me physically. I throw a ball up there. I didn't account for his height, his arm length, and his hand size, and he just swatted it. That right there for me, I was like, unless I get a basketball coach, like, I'm not playing him anymore. I can't play him in basketball. Like, he's got me there. Like, I will not say that he can beat me in basketball, but he beat me that day, and we haven't played since.
Yeah. It was just an off day. I mean, you probably worked out hard the day before. You were sore, you know, and it's you know,
it's the first time he's beaten me outright in anything. Yeah. Because I have 8 years on him. Like, that's just, you know, what it is. But now that he's becoming a man, it's kind of one of those things that's like, all right, I have to pick and choose what we play.
Yeah.
It's got to be one of those deals. So, but it's been fun to watch him kind of grow too and take on that, like, he's starting to get what it takes and what he needs to do outside of just going to practice and outside of just off-season training. But like where you have to be mentally is just a completely different place that I never thought I'd get to as far as the mentality part. I think it was always there, but I've learned a lot about myself in the last like 6 to 8 months about how much I can like push myself and stuff like that. So it's been an interesting experience for sure.
That's good, man. And to kind of, that goes right into my next question perfectly. Talking about the mindset, how do you keep a positive mindset going through any of the adversity that you've had or going through any of the injuries that you had? Because I know, I mean, I grew up playing sports, obviously not to the level of you, but I know what injuries can do to the psyche. You know what I mean? I know what it can do mentally to you if you let it. So how do you keep that positive, that arrow pointing north during all of that?
Yeah. So I would credit that. I mean, it's very cliche nowadays for this to be the answer. But I think in a lot of cases, it's very, very much true. And I know in my heart it's true, but I have a very, very, very close relationship with Jesus Christ. And I think that in a world now where it's so self-driven, I feel like I fell into that a little bit. I kind of dipped my toes in that in that water a little bit, but it's a very unique situation. It's a very humbling and like humiliating situation when you're at the top, you're at the best you're going to get, you're at the peak, right? And it's taken from you. I believe that there is a purpose for everything. And so for me, I always knew that, the door would be open or closed. And I just kept, every day I pray, Lord, either close this door, slam it in my face, because, I'm not going to shut this door for myself. Like, I need football. And my mom is really, really supportive. But one of the things that she always tells me, and I hate it when she says this, but it's very much true, is, football doesn't define who you are. And so for me, I believe it does. Like, that's just who I am. It defines me. Football is everything in my life. But, staying straight and keeping focused it gets harder the longer you go without receiving a phone call or being on a team. I'm really fortunate to have family members that literally will do anything for me when it comes to letting me achieve my dreams. And my girlfriend, Sarah, has literally been with me at my highs, and she was with me the last 2 years, just like, hey, like, I'm here with you. Like, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it. And so if it were the other way around and people were telling me, in my ear, like, towards the end, it became one of those, hey, like, have you thought about what you're going to do yet? And I've created one of these things in my family. Like, we just don't have plan Bs. The Lampmans, we don't have a plan B. And you hear it all the time.
Preach.
Like, you hear it all the time. And like, the biggest thing that I learned living with the roommates, my roommates in college, 3 of us went to the NFL. The other one just as well could have. He trained for it, and he was an unbelievable athlete, and his work ethic was probably better than mine on some days and most days. But we literally just surrounded ourselves with people that wanted to be there, that wanted to work hard. And so they kind of instilled that in me. Like, there's no plan B. We want to go to the NFL. This is what we have to do, right? And so when you start to hear the noise a little bit, what are you going to do? If football doesn't work out, you kind of got to just listen, hear it, maybe give like a half-hearted answer. Like, I've thought about, I started working on like a real estate, a mortgage loan originator license. And about 20 to 30 hours into the class, I turned to Sarah and I go, I'm literally selling out right now. I was like, this is not what I do. This is not what this isn't me. I'm not having fun. This is dumb. I don't need to do this right now. I told myself I'd give it 2 years from my last play on a field. I always said I'll give it 2 years and then I'll call it. And luckily the Saints called just over the 2-year mark. They gave me the call, but I just, I failed that exam that I was studying for because the effort that I put in for it. After about 30 hours of the class, I knew I was not going to do it. I was like, nope. If anything, it motivated me more.
Yeah.
The couple months before I got the call from the Saints, like, you don't want to do any of this. You want to play football. So this is just a reminder, So it was like the greatest waste of money I think I've ever had today.
Dude,
to motivate me.
I'm telling you, man, I really appreciate you saying all that, because I've always been the same way in terms of their plan B. I mean, very different worlds, but an acting career is very difficult to build.
Yeah.
And the amount of times that I've had people say, "Oh, well, that's really you want to make movies? Oh, great. So what are you going to do after that?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? I could do this until I'm dead?"
Yeah.
And they
say,
"Well, yeah, but I mean, it's such a hard business to get into."
Yeah.
So, and it's one of those things where, like, I mean, everybody's intentions are good and their heart's in the right place. But at the same time, it's the same thing. Like, yeah, I'm just kind of looking around. when I'm like, no, I've got my acting class. I'm doing this. I got this project that's in the can. I'm doing this one that I'm producing. And it is what it is. It's just a different mindset, and you can't get people to understand that unless they do something like that themselves. You know what I mean?
I think you hit the nail on the head there, and like, I love it because it's like, I'm one of those people that I've gotten better at it, but saying what comes to my mind, I have a very severe case of word vomit. Maybe sometimes it gets me into trouble, but like, I believe you have to, in today's day and age, you got to be able to say what you feel and just not care about what the response that anyone's going to give you is going to be. So that's kind of how I move. Now I got to be a little bit more careful here and there. Just because I would love to keep this job as long as I can. So like, I'm a lot more careful now, but I'm still, I speak what's on my mind, but lately it's been, when someone has a good intention behind a question, or when they're just kind of trying to bring you down to where they're at. So like, I'm able to judge someone's heart pretty good, I think. So I know if the question is coming from just a place of ignorance, or if it's a place of they genuinely just do not know how it works. And so they're like, well, what happens when you're not on a team? When someone asks me a question that makes no sense, I know it's a genuine question. Now, when someone asks me a question about football, like, what's gonna happen next? Like, if you think like you're gonna be able to play again, it's like, okay, I know you're kind of just trying to like take a little bit of a jab. Like, I'm not playing anymore. I was doing really well. Now I'm not. But other people, when it's like, so when teams, when do they get to sign people? Like, how does that all work? I'm like, I can't wait to answer this question because you genuinely want to know the answer. Like, yeah. And so like, I think that's when I can really just like navigate how my responses are going to be. Most of the time, the last 2 years, it's just been, just working, going to work, training every day. And that's just about it, and it's one of those, it's a very humbling experience. It's like, it's very humbling. And so I've definitely learned from that. I'm sure it's very similar for you because you had some stuff popping off. And now here's my question for you. Okay. Have you thought about like the music side of it as well, like the musical, the Broadway side of it, or is that not really something that like you're interested in? Because my guy, you can sing, like you can sing really well. Like I'm waiting for you to bring out your guitar or something and just give us a little. I can't play anything. I tried to teach myself how to play guitar. I lasted a week and I was like, I don't know how people do this. This is so difficult. So in terms of acting, I do want to get back to the stage at some point. But right now, like my home is film. I feel so much more at ease and so much more comfortable on a set. I mean, I am my happiest when I'm on set. Right. And
And you're right. I mean, there's been, I had a little stint where I was having some projects coming out and I was hitting well, but then something, it's all waves, man. And now there's a project that I'm acting and producing on, that is, if we can, the conversations that we've had with some of the people that we've had them with, if everything can go well, then this will be freaking huge.
Nice.
But
you're not allowed to say anything about it.
I can't say anything about it. And also, I'm not holding my breath either, because
right. Okay.
things can fall out, just as easily as the conversation starts. So, but yeah, man. But it's one of those things where us, at least as actors, and I don't know if this is the same thing for you, but there's so many droughts. There can be so many droughts, but the second you get a little bit of water, that's what you hold on to until the next time you get the water. You know what I mean? That was a terrible analogy. I don't know where
but I'm with you, and it wasn't that bad. It wasn't all that bad, because so I would, if I could compare it at all,
mm-hmm.
I'm one of the lucky ones, whereas I don't believe that there's many people that have gone as long as I have without a call that have gotten a call. So the AAF league that came out 2 springs ago, the XFL that, came out last spring, that was huge. To compare it to your situation, that was huge for a lot of guys that are in my situation. Yeah. Now, for me, I exhausted. And when I mean exhausted, I was sending a video out to every coach that I had in my phone. When I deleted my Instagram, I started making videos strictly to send to coaches. It wasn't for any social media platform. It was like, hey, listen, I'm actually working. This is real. So, but those leagues that came out were, for a lot of those guys in my situation, that's it. That's the drought, and it's here forever. It's a desert now, right? To just kind of build on your analogy. Yeah. That was a nice little rain came. You had the AAF, you got a little taste of, man, I might actually have something here that could build a little bit of a career to maintain. Cause there's a lot of people out there that are extremely talented mm-hmm. and extremely gifted football players that just, you really have to, a lot of people say it's a lot of luck. You got to be in the right place at the right time, but whether or not that is or isn't true, I'm not a huge fan of that, because yes, there has to be certain things that fall into place for you. Mm-hmm. There's got to be some doors open for you, but being the best athlete does not keep you in the NFL. Being the smartest player keeps you there. Yeah. So there's a lot of guys that just didn't get that. I was one of those guys that just didn't get, I came from a signal-based offense at Ferris, and we had to learn a massive, I think I got it right here. I don't have it. This is just for receivers right here. Wow. This booklet is just for receivers, and there's no plays in there. There's no plays in here for me to learn. That? I can't tell you.
Chance. You know what I mean? But that's crazy, because it is one of those things where, and it's the same thing with this career too, is one question that I was always asked was, okay, say you get in the room, then what are you going to do?
Exactly.
Right. So so what do they say? Success. I think Dave said it. Success is preparation meets opportunity. Or I might have just butchered that.
Success is when opportunity meets preparation, or vice versa, or one of those something things. But it's 100% true. And when he said that, I love that he said that, because there's no statement more true than that. I mean, I knew in my heart, that I was going to get a call. I knew that. Yeah. But I'm not the people on the other end of the line picking who's going to get that call. So all I could do was, and this is a classic candid answer, is, well, what do have you tried to reach out? Have you, I'm like, listen, I'm just controlling what I can control.
Yes.
So yes. I'm going to make sure that when the call comes, if I believe it's going to come, I'm going to make sure that I'm at least ready. So I read a lot of books about, I read Tony Dungy a lot, and Tony Dungy's got a daily devotional. And one of the devotions was, for those that are Christians, if you're going to ask God to expand your territory, you cannot be shocked when he does. Yes. You can't not have a plan, right? So that's something that I've really been, I've been really talking to my family and people close to me that, are going through something that's extremely difficult. And they're like, man, I'm praying, I'm asking for all these things. And I'm like, okay, that's half the battle, right? But when you get that prayer answered, or when the stars align, whatever it is that you believe, you can't be shocked, right? Like, you can't be sitting there. Like, if you ask for a movie role and you get a call for an audition that day, you can't sit there and be like, wait, I got to memorize my line. No, there's no time for that. Like, we need you now. Let's go. Right. So that's what kind of keeps me rolling, is like, I was asking, and little doors were opening, they were closed. Little ones were opening and they were closed. But I was like, okay, the fact that there's still doors being opened, I'm still going to work, because the big one's coming. The big one's going to come, and I'm going to be ready. And I was. So thankfully I was ready. The call came at the end of this last season, and my bags were packed. Like, you can ask those that are with me a majority of the time, they'll tell you that, like, I literally have suitcases in my room, right? My clothes are folded perfectly so that I can take them out and put them in a suit. Even now, because I've become this OCD driven guy that's just like, I'll take my clothes out, put them in a suitcase, I'm gone. So that's kind of where I'm at. It's pretty.
That's great, man. Seriously, I'm very, very happy for you, and I'm glad that it's nice to hear somebody who's not afraid to not only lean on their faith, but talk about the fact, like, be proud enough to be able to speak on that. Because, I mean, obviously everybody can believe in whatever they want to believe, and whatever gets them through the day, great. But it's nice that, that you can, it's very, and you've always been like this, which has been another thing that I've always looked up, or I've always admired, is you're not afraid to say, I have a very close relationship with Jesus Christ. And I respect that. And I appreciate that, because I do too. And I feel like nowadays it's almost like it's taboo,
No. Yeah. And, you hear it all the time whenever someone wins an award. The one thing that I've learned is I try my best, because I need this from other people. I try my best not to judge someone's heart and where they really are, because I got a line of people out the door that can attest to the fact that, like, what is he's a Christian? Are you kidding me? Like, I've seen him do XYZ. There's no, and for me, I think that's part of the growing relationship with Jesus, is that, in the spirit of Easter that we just celebrated, that is why he came. That's why he died on the cross. It's for your past, your present, your future sins. And so, for me, I think I would be doing myself a disservice, and I would be doing him a disservice if I didn't expose the true reason why I am how I am and why I'm where I'm at. If you don't believe, enough about what you claim to believe, and you can't speak about it, then is it really worth believing in? I mean, if you can't share it because you're afraid people are going to be like, what? No, dude, that's crazy. Then, I mean, can you really say that you believe it? So I'll never be afraid to talk about it. I'm always open to talk about it. One thing that I'm trying to get better at is backing up the claims that I make with scripture and stuff like that. That's probably right now, that's kind of what I'm really working on, because I'm not the best reader, and I'm not good at remembering what I read either. It's probably why I got an education at Ferris State. I'm not knocking the university itself, but it was quite easy to get into Ferris. And, we don't go there to play school. We go there to play football and win games, and that's why I went there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess that's kind of like my makeup, and one of the things, I'll always remember conversations with you about it, because I do think that the one thing that I do think we both hold in common is we're very emotional people.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of being faithful as well. You kind of have that childlike faith where you're overly optimistic, right?
Yeah.
And you just expect that everyone else feels the same way about you that you do about them. You love all, you respect all, right? That's just that's what Jesus taught, right?
Yeah.
So on a deep note, now that we've we dove down this deep rabbit hole here, I think that's one of the greatest things that I was able to experience growing up, though, is I had a bunch of people around me and a community around me that they truly did love and support who I was as a person and what I did, good and bad, and so I think we were really fortunate, where we grew up. And, I go back to New Hope Church in Hazlitt. They got live services every Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm tuned in, wherever I'm at in the country. So,
nice.
But yeah, man, I appreciate you talking about that with me. It's a highly neglected topic, I think, today.
So. It is. And especially in my business, where
100%,
which is that's a whole nother thing, I guess, but it's guys that you see, like Chris Pratt, who's not afraid to say, and he is who he is. And that's the type of person I want to be like, is not worry about, I'm just like, I'm going to be me. I'm going to be true to myself, and everything that entails. If you accept me, great. If you don't, all right.
Absolutely, man.
No hard feelings.
I think you've done an exceptional job at that, dude. Well,
thank you.
There's certain people you come across in life that, like, they stand out just a little bit and you want to be around them. You have an infectious personality, or you just, something about them you want to be around. And I think that that's what really, going back to the community that we lived in, is there were a lot of people that had that same belief and that same mindset that I don't care who you are, we're here to do a job, we're here to win, but we're also here to love one another. And I think that, and when I talk to people about where I came from and how many friends I still, Sarah and I talk all the time, and she'll always make jokes to her friends and family, like, Jake has like 500 best friends. I'll introduce her to someone that I haven't talked to in 20. He's one of my best friends in high school. Like, that's like, oh yeah, when's the last time you talked to him? I don't know. It's been like 3 years.
Vietnam. I don't know.
Oh, it's one of those deals. I love it, though.
Yeah, man. So I do want to, because I am actually curious about this, because I've been getting really big into, going to the gym. I go 6 days a week. I'm trying to make sure that I'm physically, mentally, spiritually, everything strong, right? How do you train as a wide receiver? Like, because you obviously, you don't want to get too yoked, and because then you start to lose mobility or whatever, but at the same time, you got to be strong, you got to be quick. Like, how does that all work exactly? How do you train?
Well, the first thing is you have to have the time to do it. So thankfully I have a job that I have the time to train for it. Right. So like the off season is a huge part in creating a successful career. You have to put a lot of time in. A lot of it's diet, but let's see. Long story long, you need to be able to balance, like you said, your strength and your mobility. So for me, I want to be in the weight room for 2 hours a day. I want to get as big and strong as I possibly can. It worked. It did everything I needed it to do to get to the NFL. I was a weight room junkie, strongest guy pound for pound, and I'll challenge anyone that wants to step to me and say that I was wrong there. But my 3 roommates in college, defensive lineman, offensive lineman, and our quarterback, who was a tight end with the Saints, Jason Vanderlaan, he converted to tight end. You know, massive human beings. And so I would try to lift with them every day. We always lifted at the same time together, the 4 of us. We didn't have a strength conditioning program at Ferris. Luckily, they have one there now. But I was just lift as much as you can, as much as you can. Like, I've been asked so many times if I was on steroids in college because, I lived in the weight room, right? Yeah. I never did anything. Like, I was the poster child for past drug tests in college. Okay. Just to fully disclose, anyone from the Hazlet area, the East Lansing area who thought I was on, I passed every drug test I've ever taken to this day. You know, like, I don't even take anything now. You know, I would take the proteins and the creatines, but like nothing that I didn't need a performance enhancer, right? I just was going to put the work in. But a lot of it now is mobility, strength and mobility. So if I can get strong in a movement, I would rather do that than be bigger, faster, stronger that we all grew up doing, the bigger, faster, stronger program. For young athletes though, you need that base. You need the technique part about lifting the right way so that you can create new ways to do those same movements, but that apply to your position. Because you play every position growing up to see what you're good at. Your size plays a factor in that too, your athleticism and whatnot. But as you progress and when you get to the top, or when you get to your top, it's all about maintaining your strength. So every once in a while, I'll definitely be in the weight room and just getting the strength part down. But now it's more, I run more than I work out in the weight room. And when I'm in the weight room every day, but it's a completely different style of lifting that I used to do. It wasn't, I'm just going to try to get as big as I possibly can. I need to be as lean as I can. I need to be as flexible as I can, but I also need to be able to be extremely strong in my movements. So I spend about 3 to 4 hours every day on that, which thankfully that's my job. So I can have that excuse. I wouldn't recommend that for any working class person to go work out. If you have the time to do that, good for you. But I mean, we have families and stuff like that, you know? So like, I have a couple of people that ask me about what I do. And I just, frankly, it's just, what do I do? You just don't have the time for it. Like at the end of the day, I look the way I look because that's all I have to do for a job is to be in the best shape in the world, you know? So that's kind of where I'm at, just to kind of make that as short of an answer as possible. But
So how does training in the off season, I mean, obviously that's the most time and effort, but when you're in season, how do you have to change because you don't have the same time that you normally would in the off season? Are you still able to do a lot of the same stuff that you do, but you just have to condense it? Or
I would say your practice is when you get your conditioning in.
Okay.
So practice in the NFL is, there are guys, more so myself, and guys in my situation, there are guys that are not on guaranteed money, right? You sign a contract for a year and it's good for the year until it's canceled, right? Now, fortunately, if you make the roster, you're typically going to stay on the roster the entire year. And, you know, I signed a contract for 1 year this year and it's good until canceled, right? So you're competing in practice every day to keep your job. Especially, I found my way into a practice squad a couple times, and that is even more important. So your conditioning comes in practice because everyone is going hard, because everyone knows what's at stake. It's not like college. You have your egos, right? But like, it is as professional gets. It's the most structured. If you get fined if you're a minute late to a meeting, and it's a number that people don't make in a year, right? It's absurd. Wow. So like, I've had some business meetings with people and they'll be 5 minutes late. And I'm just like, okay, that's just the normal working world. People just show up at around this time. Football, not that way, right? So your conditioning comes in practice. And then at that point, once you're in the season, you've killed yourself in training camp. You're exhausted. It's been a long training camp. Now it's let's try to rebuild, but mostly just maintain. Everything you do in the season, I need to just maintain and get through the season and get to playoffs and win as many games as possible to be competing for a Super Bowl. Then you take some time off after the season, see your family, because, I mean, we don't have many breaks. Everyone thinks that the NFL is man, I made it, I make a bunch of money, and I play a kid's game. All very true. But we're at the office from 7 till 5 every day, sometimes longer, depending on your position. And a lot of our families don't live where we play. So we don't get to go home. There's no like, I got to take a vacation this week. I'm going to go see the family. Good luck in the game next week. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not how it works. It's the most unique, there's a reason why we get paid the money that we get paid, and it's for the time and the sacrifice that we put in. So our off season is more of get your time with your family, enjoy yourself. You earned it. Start to pick it back up end of February, middle of March into April. And now we're getting close to that OTAs, optional team activity training, that we don't know if it's going to be stay at home or if we're going to have to report this year with all the COVID and everything like that. But this is kind of when it starts to pick back up. And then come middle of June till training camp in the beginning of August, it is go time. So that's when you really see guys really focusing on everything, weight room, conditioning. It's like 6-hour days that we're putting in on our own. We're not with the team during the summer. We have that part of the off season, but that's when it matters the most, because you got to make a team and then you got to go win a Super Bowl. So it's a business for sure. And your business is your body. So you put in, you put in the time, the money, and the work to get the result that you want, just like anything. But this one is literally all physical. And then the mental part is learning the playbook. If you can't learn the playbook, doesn't matter how much work you put in, you can't play, so. Yeah.
Wow, man. That's awesome, dude. That's crazy. That's really, really cool. It's because it's cool to be able to, to think it, that much time and effort and dedication, and, that when you put that time in, that you can see the results that a lot of people are like, oh, I'll never make it, or I'll never get to that level. Well, no, you can, because people are doing it and people do it often.
Absolutely. And I think that it's a testament though to, you talk about players or people that get a bad rap for like losing their minds. It's not that uncommon for an athlete to lose their mind. The length of a season is insane. We miss all the special holidays outside of Easter, where we don't get to spend with our family. We're playing while y'all are at home and watching, right? Yeah. So when you see people have mental breakdowns, there's something. It's not just because they have something going on. They put everything into this game, and when the fans are the only reason why we do it, right? To entertain. When the fans are unhappy or they're upset, it's like you have no idea what we've done to get here. And that now that it's not working, that's frustrating. But that the fact that you hate us now is even more frustrating, right? And so you can definitely see why people lose their minds. Yeah, you can see it. So it's definitely a different beast for sure.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, before I close out every show, I always like to do a segment called The Goods. And I just got some questions to pick your brain, man. Get in that headspace of yours and see what you got. Numero uno. Who was your biggest inspiration in football growing up?
Man, I would have to say it's probably going to be, it's one of those that everyone in our generation probably feels the same way, but it's got to be Tim Tebow. It's got to be.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. He, he did it all. He did everything right as humanly possible. And he was just an animal. I mean, he's one of those guys that you run through a brick wall for a guy like that. So I'd probably say Timmy for sure.
Okay. All right. What was one thing about the NFL that surprised you, whether it was a good surprise or a bad surprise, but one thing that you were really like, oh, I did not expect this?
I would say, what surprised me the most is how starstruck I wasn't getting. So that really surprised me. I think once I got in a room, because for me growing up, my idols were on the football field. So as soon as I got to meet some of them, and like I've met the 3 quarterbacks in my life that I've always wanted to meet. I met Kurt Warner, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees. You know, it's just so once that happened, it was kind of like, okay, nothing really, starstrike me anymore. I'm just kind of like, if I see a celebrity or something like that, it's one of those things where I was like, man, you're just a normal guy, that's what surprised me. All these people are just normal people, So I think that was the biggest shock for me was that or the amount of fans that show up for training camp. There were more fans at training camp every single day than we saw at Ferris State football games.
Really?
100%. It was absolutely nuts.
Whoa.
That I guess that would probably be the most surprising. Yeah. I had to say that one for sure. Nuts.
Well, and to go back to the whole thing of not being starstruck, one thing that my cousin always told me too is, at least for myself, is he said, all of these big names or whomever, when you get on set with them or when you get on the field with them or you get in the locker room with them, they're colleagues.
Exactly.
You're on the same level. Like,
yeah,
and that's how you have to treat it. So that's great, man. Okay. When you aren't training, on the off chance, okay, what is your go-to drink of choice?
Oh, man. Oh.
Because I've seen you have a good time, and it's a good time.
My go-to drink of choice. Man. You mean when I'm not drinking Essentia water or Light Aid, energy, vitamin, fitness drinks? When I'm not drinking any of those, I do enjoy a glass of El Mayor tequila. Okay. On the rocks, just a little sipper. Yeah. It's just got some good body. It's good flavor, and I enjoy it. Definitely, more moderation these days. I'm on a different mission now, so I definitely stick to my water for sure. Water and my Life Aid.
Water and Life Aid.
Beverage company.
Essentia water.
Water and Life Aid.
And Life Aid.
Yep, there you go.
Did you guys hear that? Life Aid, the good life with Patrick Harney and Life Aid.
There you go. The good life. Get some Life Aid. I mean, it's
nice, man. And hey, and my final question is, and I think I have an idea of what your answer might be, but what are some methods that you've adopted, or that you just to keep yourself grounded and centered every day? What are some things?
So definitely prayer, but I have a group of people that I will send a text message to every day with a message in it, or a devotional in it to kind of keep me connected there. That, and I'll tell you what, man, some of the best ways to keep me grounded now, I do hop on the sticks every once in a while and get some Call of Duty in. But dude, something about it is fun. I get all my aggression out there. So like, I'm very reserved. I'm pretty calm most days, but when I get on the sticks, it's actually ridiculous.
It's on.
And then I do that. And then, I'm not good at all, but man, I absolutely love golf. That keeps me very grounded, man. Just getting out there and expecting to be so good at something because you're just good at what you do, and going out there and being absolutely terrible You know, I put in all this work and I think I've figured it out, play a terrible round, be so pissed, hate the game, and then I'll drive the ball really far. I'll have a really nice putt to end the round, and it keeps me coming back. It's like the best, worst feeling ever. But I'd say little things like that. Obviously spending time with my people always helps. But yeah, I think that's about it. That's the gist.
Nice, man. I know I'm trash at golf. I am a dumpster fire when it comes to golf.
It's one of those things where I've become okay hitting range balls on the actual course because I'm going to lose them anyway. So it's like, why buy Pro V1 when you're going to lose them? It's just a waste of money. I don't know.
Yeah. No, dude, I always have to play scramble because I can't drive. I can't drive to save my life. I can't putt, but I can chip all day long.
Yeah, I'll give you one good shot a hole, and that's enough for a scramble. That's enough to get us in contention to win. But yeah, I love golf, man. I love it. I love it so much, and it's probably because I enjoy the chase, right? Yeah. So I enjoy not, you know, my girlfriend will tell you, like, I went after, she wasn't interested in me at first, and I love the chase. So like golf is one of those sports that I will forever love because I know I'll never be good. I'm going to try, but I know I'll never be good at it. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's funny, man. Well, hey, I just want to say thank you very much again for being on here. And it's good to see you, man. It's good to talk with you. Man. You know, yeah. I wish we could have done this in person, but hey, you got to do what you got to do, and
maybe soon.
Yes, hopefully. And also, man, I wish you luck with your training. I'll
thanks, bro.
I'll say a prayer that you stay healthy and you stay strong, and
I appreciate that.
And yeah, man, you just keep pushing because you're inspiring young ones that you don't even probably know.
I appreciate that. You too, brother.
Thanks, man. All right, and that wraps this episode of The Good Life. If you're looking at me and I look different, I'm wearing something different, yeah, that's because I may or may not have forgotten to film the outro, but here we are. So thanks again for watching. Thanks to Jake for coming on, and yeah, we'll see you next week.